here we have Toast. Today we're just going to have a quick look at how to measure the noseband. Last week we talked about noseband measuring and the taper gauge. So this time I want to just show you how to use the taper gauge. I think the thing to remember about noseband tightness is what we're actually doing is we're clamping this bone here to this bone here. So this to this. So that's what we want to measure. We're not really interested in what's going on in the middle here. Like there's always going to be a lot of space here because this is soft tissue. But we're talking about how tight is it between this bone here and this bone here. So the place to measure, and the only place to measure, is right at the front of the nose. So here we've got Toast, and this is what we'd call conventionally fitted. So I can take my taper gauge and I can slide it under the noseband here, and it slides up to that measurement that makes 2 fingers. So there's this much space under there. So if you don't have a nice green taper gauge, you can use your fingers. And does that fit under the bone here? And if that does, then you're good. You're conventionally fitted, and that's what we found with that conventional fitting is that the horse doesn't change their behavior with the conventional fitting. Okay. Yep, so with the conventional fitting, the taper gauge just slides under there, and that's the same distance as your 2 fingers, like this. So then if we tighten the noseband up a bit, sorry about this Toast. So now I've tightened it up a little bit, and I can't easily put my fingers under there, so I'm going to see if I can fit the taper gauge under there. And I can get it under just about, so that they're telling me is the same as sort of 1 finger width under there. So I can almost squeeze my finger in there, okay? It's not easy, but this still is getting in 1 finger. So there's a big difference between the 1 and 2 fingers. But what you will find is no matter how tight, if it's 1 finger or 2 fingers, I can always get my whole hand in here. That has nothing to do with noseband tightness, is how much space is around the soft tissue. What we're concerned about is this bone here, how close it's been kept to this bone here. So we're squeezing the 2 bones together, and you're always going to be able to have a lot of space here. You'll be able to put the whole thing right through there. This is meaningless. You can't measure here, you can't measure here. It's all soft tissue, you can feel that. What we're concerned about is how this bone is clamped to this bone. So this is the only place to measure, because this is where this is telling you how tight the noseband actually is. This is not telling you how tight it is. So remember that. If you don't have a noseband taper gauge, you can use your 2 fingers, but you must do that right here in the middle of the noseband, in the middle of the nose. We often think if the noseband has a lot of padding, that's nicer for the horse, it's more comfortable for the horse. Actually, we think now that the padding enables us to make the noseband even tighter. So don't be fooled by that. It's more for us than for the horse. But I really do encourage you, because to test your noseband properly in the place that it was designed to be tested by either your 2 fingers or one of these taper gauges, and just sliding it up there in the middle of the noseband. So now I've loosened it, and it's conventionally fitted now. It's hard to tell from that distance where you are if it's tight or loose, isn't it? So you can't tell by looking at the horse. You actually have to go and put your fingers underneath it, or the noseband taper gauge. And it's interesting because this horse wasn't doing anything with his head when we started this, but he's now, because we tightened it up, now we've loosened it. Can you see he's chewing on the bit now, he's licking and things? That's because I stopped him from doing that when I tightened it up. So when you tighten the noseband up, you bring these bones together, and the horse can't do any of these natural oral movements with his mouth. So we're depriving the horse of those movements. And what happens when you loosen the noseband up, you get this post-inhibitory rebound effect. What we found when we tested different noseband tightnesses is when it's like this, which is conventionally fitted, where you can fit 2 fingers under here, there was no changes, no significant changes in the horse's behaviour, in the oral behaviours, or their heart rate, or their eye temperature. It's only when it's tightened to less than that that it starts to impact their behaviour and their physiological parameters. So be aware of that, but also mostly this is all about where to test it. This is the place to test it, not here, not here, not here, here. Thank you.